Oh, hold on. Sorry, that wasn't prepared as I thought. Uh, anyway, new hat, so hope you still recognize me. I mentioned before, quite a while back, when I first moved here, I was I did a lot of moving in the first year or so living here. Um, but at one point, I just got to walk around the neighborhood where I lived. I just spent an hour and a half just walking around, praying. And I loved that time. I don't know why I stopped. And then God had been bothering me about doing it again. So only took like nine and a half years to start doing it again. But I did. And it's I talked before about how I was how I've been hiding from stuff, just not wanting to deal with it. Anyway, give me a minute while I get warmed up here. But once I started finally, finally, finally not hiding from stuff anymore, just taking it to God and being like, I don't care what happens. I can't, this sucks. I can't keep doing this. So I would just make a point of going on these walks and just praying. Like even when I'm on the phone, I like to pace. I don't like to just sit. So why doesn't it work when I'm praying, chatting with God? But he set me straight on a lot of things. First thing was the importance of humility, because I'd been, I talk a lot about what a crappy person I am at work. And so I've been trying to work on that. And then for a while there, it seemed like the whole universe was against me. I got called up into the office to try to make reconciliation, and then ended up getting in trouble for the way I did it. And then this was going on, then this was going on, and then this other guy that tried to get me fired like 3 years ago comes over full time, and all of a sudden he's in charge of this other department. Come on, God. The only thing that's going to change here is me. So what do I got to do? And it was touch and go for a little while there, to be honest. I had some good shifts and some bad shifts at work. And I finally started scraping rock bottom there for a day or so. I got home from work, man. I just got off my feet for half hour, 45 minutes, and then just went for a walk. It's like, God, I have got to deal with this. This is stupid. So I did. So I'm going around with this walk, and I said, God, I don't know what to do. What what am I supposed to do when I'm walking behind this guy? And all I can think of is just grabbing the back of his head and smashing his face into the wall. Because I thought about that at work. And by the time I woke up, I'd come home and have my resume all updated and everything. But it's just trying to get real with God about that stuff, not being all stupid and pretentious and religious about it. And I said, God, what do I do when I'm stuck working around this person and they're just worthless? What am I supposed to do? How do I carry myself? I don't know how to approach this. I don't know how to deal with it. I just don't know what to do because what I'm doing is just not working. So I was in the middle of this big, long diatribe complaining about how much stuff sucked and how poorly I was dealing with it. Just in the middle of it. God's like, well, here, you do this and this and this. You just realize, what kind of impact does this really have on the person you are? And why are you giving it that much impact when you know better? And why are you still so concerned about your own pride? You know, that's what gets in the way of every single thing that you're trying to do with me. Every time. Yeah, you know, it's turns out there's some truth to that. I like to just get straight to the bottom of stuff, and sometimes the direct method is that's just not taken in kind. But I just, like, with me personally, every single time, man, I got a struggle, something I'm just sucking at, just because it's pride. Because there's just something about it I'm just not given to God. Something about it I still want to be invested in. Something about it I still want to say it. Something about it still matters to me. In the case of the guy that tried to get me fired a few years ago, that was just an injustice. He could have had the stones to come up and say something to me, but he wanted to talk to this person, and this person. Then he just went straight through all the formalities just to try and get me fired just because he didn't like me, blah, blah, blah. And this is a gross injustice, God. You know, I just went on. It was more self-pity veiled by anger. A lot of people are good at that. Yeah, I spent this whole time complaining, and just like finally in the middle of a breath, he's like, "Hey, I'll help you out with it." That just kind of stunned me. What? Yeah, I'll help you with it. Let me just walk you through this day by day, issue by issue, emotion by emotion. I'll just step by step, man. I'm just when you get to the first step on the bridge, I'll show you how to take the second. When you take the second, I'll show you how to take the third. That's just what? And then I realized, as much as I talk about it, I was doing way too good a job of just coming to God and getting pep talks and then going and doing what I thought I needed to, and not doing such a great job of including Him. This whole time I talked about what a big part of my life He is. I keep Him outside the ring during my match. You know, go to Him between rounds. So I've been working on learning how to let go of stuff. It's actually been mostly easy. Every once in a while I slip and I have to catch myself. I was talking to a friend, and they were like, "Oh, by the way, this and this," and that was something that usually would just something that would just set me off. And I started getting set off, man. I could feel the fire rising up. Then God came in with his extinguisher and said, "Hey, cool, be cool, be cool. Just stop. Deep breath. Take a step back emotionally from this whole thing. It does not matter at all." So then I had some of that residual anger momentum I had to work out and finally say, "I'm sorry. God told me straight off it didn't matter." But it kind of irked me, and I didn't know what else to do. So I'm sorry. There is Also, a gross, despicable misconception about humility in church circles, which I don't know much about anymore because I'm not in many church circles. That is just so freeing. There's a lot of talk about submission, but a lot of Bible thumpers put it in the form of submission to people when it's supposed to be submission to God. And when it's put like that, everybody's just going to jump on the hallelujah bandwagon, like, oh yes, brother, blah blah blah. But humility to God does not look look that religious. Humility to God means putting yourself between a person and their foot when they're trying to shoot it. You see the way Jesus dealt with the Pharisees. God's been talking to me a lot about that kind of humility. When I first really started getting to know God, when I first moved down here, and just getting to know Him, just the basics. It's just a little baby. I was all amped up about it. I was, all right, God, let's just go do some ministry. Let's go touch people. And now, God, those people suck, man. Can't we just leave them out of it? Turns out we can't. So that humility means correction. Talking to God, I was like, God, I don't want to say this to this person because I'm pretty sure this, and this are going to happen. There's going to be some screaming, maybe a couple punches. I could do without that, God. And God's like, yeah, sure, you could, but these people deserve to know that they're wrong. Even if they stick with being wrong, at least I'll have something to show them. They had their chance for correction, and they rejected it. I'll have to answer to me for that when that day comes, but it's an opportunity for them. So you need to get over yourself, son, and do what I need you to do. Well, God, those people over there kind of suck. Can't we just leave them out of it? God, this person's not going to listen to me. They are way too self-absorbed, and they're like the whole giving each other the thumbs up on Facebook and they like the pats on the back too much to actually find out they're wrong, God. Do I really need to? Can't we just skip this step? Turns out we can't. That kind of humility, where you can put people before yourself for God's sake and not just for their sake, for the sake of truth, for the sake of their correction, and them getting put back on the right path, them getting over themselves. That's humility. Not social media, man. All you say. I try and avoid Christians as much as I can on social media, just because they get all weird and religious and just dumb. It's like a cesspool with most of those people. And they all have these deep daily devotionals. And it's like, yeah, I heard a sermon about that 10 years ago. I'm glad it's sinking in. I mean, cool for you, but that's nice. All right. I don't know why the world needs to see that. That's just my take, though. I might still be a little on the cynical side. But the depressing part is just seeing all these people compelled to put titles in front of their name. like apostle whatever. On Facebook? Serious? Oh. You ought to get to know God a little bit better before you start slapping titles before your first name. Because that is not what matters. That is not how Jesus drew people to himself. So let's take a minute to reconcile that kind of lifestyle with Jesus' kind of lifestyle. They do not really go together. Oh, but there's miracles, but there's words of wisdom from the Lord, blah, blah, blah. All right. What did Jesus say about that? Well, God, we prophesy, we cast out demons in your name, and blah, blah. I don't even know who you are. I don't know why so many church people, I guess it's just because we were raised that way, see ministry as a form of how many people you're influencing with your words, how big your church is, how many people are following you on Twitter, how many friends you have on Facebook, whatever. How many people are you putting ahead of yourself? Even then, that's not something you run around preaching about. Ministry is supposed to cost you something. Paul reluctantly brought up his apostleship, and that was just so these people would not be confused about him being a peon just because he took the servant attitude wherever he went. Like with the Galatians, these other people came in behind him, and they're like, Paul, he's just a chump, man. He doesn't even have a good enough ministry to live off of. He's got to sell stuff that he makes. It's like a bake sale wherever he goes, except with tents. And then Paul's like, hey, don't you forget where your roots are. I might make tents for a living, but that's just so I won't be a burden to you. I am still the apostle that fathered you. Do not forget that. And then he talked about how he was the apostolic call that so many churches hold in high esteem. Paul referred to as the crap on the scouring pad when you're wiping something off. That's what I am. Come on. I'm not going to get real far without a servant mentality, that kind of attitude of what can I do to introduce you to God? What can I give to you to be encouraged, to give God a chance, to give God another chance? What do I need to do to bridge that gap? I don't care what all these other church people have done. What can I do? Just about every single person I work with has had a terrible, terrible, terrible church experience in their youth that so impacted them, it has shaped their entire lifestyle now. And it's got nothing to do with God. None of their life reflects much of anything about God. So, you start talking to God about what you can do for this person or this person. And God's like, well, religion stole a lot from them. They're not going to be very kind to you when you reach out in the name of this same religion that burned them so bad. You let them take from you. You let them beat you. You let them mock you. You let them do it again and again and again. And you still be standing there when their world comes down? That is ministry. Not how many daily devotions you can put on social media. You know, and there's some people too. You gotta be honest. They burned me when I was a lot more impressionable within the first year or two of me moving down here. And then so I just kind of gave them the old heave ho, moved on with life. Let them do their thing, I'll do mine. And I won't hide behind a clique of friends that we can all have a circle jerk and approve of each other. And those people, man, God's talked to me a lot about them, about getting my heart right towards them. Because as promoted as they think they are, they're going to find out how puffed up they became, how much pride they let in with all these religious promotions that they passed off as spiritual opportunities. All the while, I'm sitting back in the peanut gallery watching the whole thing unfold. Spend some time talking to God about it. It's like, hey, you need to get over yourself with these people, because they're going to need you to be somebody that helps them up when they get the crap beat out of them. When they find out you know how big a balloon is before it's inflated, right? And then you pop it and then it just goes back to being that tiny little thing. That's about how much substance some of those people have. Not trying to be maliciously critical. It's just a matter of fact. And God's like, hey, you are going to need to be around for them when they find out they just don't have that much substance. You need to be there as an example for them instead of just turning your back on them. I don't care what they did to you. This is what you need to do for them. But God, that sucks. And God's like, hey, told you what you need to do. It's up to you. Up to you whether you do it or not, man. That's what you're going to answer for me. Oh, but God, that sucks. Can I just turn my back on him for a day or so, let him kind of wallow in it? Turns out you can't. We're going to find out who's been putting time in with God and who's been putting on a show. Nah. God talked to me quite a bit about that a few months ago. There's some people I grew up with, people I really, really care about that helped me out of a lot of those self-imposed identity crises that we have during our coming of age years. And it's like now they're just stuck with God. They just put a roof, a ceiling on their growth because of how they were taught. Not looking forward to seeing those kind of times. But The best we can do is just keep getting with God now. Working with Him to build our own selves up. And not just being inflated. Because when the big bad wolf comes, we'll find out just how full of crap we really are. How much we've been lying to ourselves. How religious we've been. I like doing the disaster relief stuff because it's just a chance to get your hands dirty. When it is just chaos. I like that because just being around it. It's not really something you get familiar with, but something about it just really, really makes a personal impact. Something about it just hits home and like imposes a sense of mortality. Helps keep things in perspective. When pressure comes, I don't want to be confused or hopeless or helpless. I want to be so confident in myself and my ability to hear God and work with God and collaborate with God that I can just jump right in and do whatever I need to do, regardless of how mucked up I get. That's what I'm pushing for. Of course, you heard some of my conversations that I've had with God. Can I just turn my back on them for a day? So I still got a little ways to go. And to be honest, for me personally, I don't even look at these talks, these broadcasts as a form of ministry. Ministry is something I do when I'm at work, trying to, or wherever, not just at work, but actually trying to make a difference in people's lives that just don't know God. And for a while there, I was a terrible, terrible representative of God. So I've been working on that, digging myself out of that hole. But this, man, these videos, I just want them to be solidarity. People that just want to get to know God and don't quite know how, but think religion sucks. That's what I'm after, man. It's just, it doesn't have to be like that. We don't have to talk all King Jamesy and filter our language and censor ourselves and not be honest with each other. It's not like that. One of my favorite verses is, I think it's Luke 21:19. Either it's 19:21. I don't know why I transposed those. Pretty sure it's 21:19 though. And Jesus is talking about all this stuff that's coming. And then at the end of it, he's like, hey, you be patient and you use that patience to possess yourself, your emotions, your thoughts, your imagination, your fantasies, your mind. You take charge of that. You can own it. That's what I'm after. For the people that do know God, I just want to give some hope that we don't have to play church, because that's stupid. And the people that don't, I want to do my best to make sure God's not as bad as they were taught growing up. He's not the pastor that molested them, the church-going deacon that did the same thing, or that stole from the church, or that cheated on his wife, or vice versa. All these people that appeared spiritual just put on facades so it looked good in front of God when God was the one that saw all that crap under the rug anyway. Turns out he's got x-ray vision for that kind of thing. That's the other thing that kind of hurts. You know, I'll be talking with God. It's like, God, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this. I can do this. I can do this. I'm good with this. And then you just don't really hear anything. You're like, all right, God, yes, I got this. I got this. I'm good. We can do this, God. I'm all about this. And then still nothing. You're like, God, do I have this? And God's like, no. You still got ways to go, man. Take about 15 steps back and you start from there. You might have it for a day. You might have it for a week. You don't have the strength to sustain it. And that's what we got to work on. It's like, well, God, that kind of sucks. I just want to be done with this stuff now. And God's like, well, yeah, but problem is you don't have what it takes right now. You might feel like you do. You might be convinced in yourself that you do. But you give it a week, you might even give it a month. You'll crap out eventually just because you don't have that kind of development yet. You don't have that kind of endurance. Take some steps back. Be honest. Pep talks to yourself only do you so much good. Anyway. Well, the important thing to keep in mind, it's okay to take to sit in the back row, to be underestimated. Man, before any of us got to know God, how many of us just grossly underestimated him? And even now, he's still cool with it. He's like, well, I know what I'm capable of. What do I need to prove to you? That's a place we got to get with God too. We don't need to prove something to people. We don't need to prove we're an apostle or a bishop or an evangelist or a prophet. But we can still get some hope in God, man, despite how many people try and get in the way. In the name of the Lord himself, they'll get in the way. I don't know how, but I'm so glad God steered me around most of those people and then saved me from the rest that I ran into. Even if it did get a little lonely for a while. We're starting to come together now. So, be cool. Love all you guys. And one day, maybe I'll even get to meet you. Someday. Anyway, peace.